My guest this evening, Karan Verma, is an author. Desh Ratan Nigam is a lawyer. Thank you very much. Sanjeev Kaushik is a political analyst. And Sanjay Hegde is a senior advocate in the case. Sanjay Hegde, I don't want you to second guess the Supreme Court. That is, hi, good evening. It's always fraught with risks and challenges. But given the fact that on 2 occasions, the Supreme Court has shown the inclination to give Mr. Kejriwal bail, in fact, even deciding on a caveat. Do you think that on Thursday, Mr. Kejriwal's bail is coming?
Firstly, I am not appearing in this case. You're discussing the West Bengal case later.
I understand.
In that case, I'm appearing. Okay. I am not Mr. Kejriwal's.
Absolutely.
So
yes,
therefore, I can sort of try and decode what is happening in court. Now, the Supreme Court is actually thinking institutionally. Forget Mr. Kejriwal, forget all the facts of this case. If you have a major election where a major political party is incapacitated from the elections by its head being jailed for a non-violent crime, which investigation thereof can continue later, the entire process can continue after a few weeks, then why should the elections be allowed to be impacted? That is the reasoning, the inarticulate major premise upon which the Supreme Court appears to me to be proceeding. And the prosecution, the ED in this case, is opposing even that little leeway. It is when institutions allow themselves to start playing in the political game, to start voting, as it were, in the political game. Okay, we'll knock you off, we'll shut you up, and we'll see to it that we oppose bail, and we will not get that you will not come out till after the elections are over. That is when courts as an institution, which are mandated to secure the constitution and its functioning, have to think on a much higher plane. And I believe that is what is happening.
Okay, a quick counter question, and then I'll let Desh Ratan Nigam come in. Sir, if the Supreme Court does on that basis and that premise decide to give Arvind Kejriwal bail on Thursday, then Hemant Soren can argue the same. So will Hemant Soren be the next to walk out of jail on bail?
Well, let's put it this way. How often will you have a ruling party lock up its opponents on non-violent crime and say that they will not be granted bail? Then are we a free and fair election? And yes, Mr. Soren's matter is also now before the same bench because the High Court has already ruled against granting him bail. And I suspect that if this happens in Arvind Kejriwal's case, the court might be inclined to take a similar view. Of course, there will be various arguments made on facts, but that's a separate. We'll have to see its reaction on the first day. And whether Mr. Soren's matter is listed on Thursday or Friday.
I certainly have a...
can I just bring in Desh Ratan Nigam? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Shreya, let me tell you, we know it is a PMLA, and under the PMLA, a person is guilty till proven innocent. It's the reverse jurisprudence based on French jurisprudence. And therefore, this has to be dealt with differently as ordinary criminal law. So, Mr. Kejriwal is guilty as of now. He has to prove himself innocent, one. Secondly, creating a separate class, as was argued before the court, that he cannot be treated extraordinarily so that he is above the common man, a privileged man. The concept of equality comes between similarly situated people. He is an accused, and the ED says he is the kingpin and the main conspirator. And in the previous judgment of Mr. Manish Sisodia, the Supreme Court found 338 crore of money trail, prima facie. And therefore, in this particular case, the money not being recovered is not a question because it has been spent in Goa's election. So the recovery may not be possible because money has been spent and they have been able to establish that trail. The ED's argument is that they have shown that trail. They have it. Thirdly, let me tell you, he is under judicial custody. Judicial custody as of now means the possibility of tampering witnesses and evidence. In the past, we have seen hundreds of phones have been destroyed, other evidence has been destroyed, and therefore he's in custody. He's under judicial custody. He's not under ED custody as of now. So, him getting out in public will again throw a big question whether he'll influence the witness or not, whether he'll destroy further evidence. So all these is a question.
Mr. Nigam, how?
Which should be and
how?
And
I'll ask you this.
Let me finish.
The Supreme Court is asking these questions. Let me counter question you here. Ari, let me counter question you here. The Supreme Court is saying if we do decide to give him bail, then he will step out as an Aam Aadmi Party campaigner and not as the Delhi Chief Minister. He'll not go around signing files. Now, if the Supreme Court is making that very clear and is putting out conditions, what's the harm? You are saying under PMLA you are guilty until proven innocent. But the fact is that the Supreme Court itself today is asking, the ED, 2 साल क्यों लगाए थे इनको arrest करने में? Why did you take 2 years to arrest him? And what are the recoveries? It's been more than 365 days. You can say money trail. पैसा तो 1 रुपया नहीं recover हुआ है ना?
Therefore, I said that so far recoveries concerned the ED's cases, the money has been used in the Goa's election campaign. So therefore, that question can be taken care of. Now, the delay in arresting him, as the investigation goes on, it was said in the court, the material comes before. His name started cropping up. The others became approver. They started giving the evidence. And therefore, this becomes very important. And, you don't need to sign any file to influence witnesses or to get the evidence destroyed, which may be there and which may still not be recovered, which may not be in the possession of the ED or the CBI. Therefore, it's a very important. You don't need any official status. You are there confined so that you do not destroy all that evidence and influence witness. You don't need to sign files. He was as such not signing files.
Mr. Nigam, do you think that the ED and the CBI and the Delhi police and the entire might of the Indian government, the mighty Indian government, you think they'll let Mr. Arvind Kejriwal alone and not keep a very, very close watch on him and not let him do anything they don't want him to do? Come on, Mr. Nigam. I'm sure when Mr. Kejriwal steps out, he will know that every step he takes and every move he makes, the government of India will be watching.